Good evening. My name is Dick Sturgeon. I'm a workers advocate for an organization called Workers Have Rights Too. With me tonight is workers advocate Deb Borg, who helps out our organization and is here with me to help talk about a subject this evening about state laws, federal laws, the agencies that administer those laws, and the courts that interpret those laws. We want to thank Siouxland Media for producing this program, and also for Morningside College for providing us with the facilities to do this. Welcome to the program, Deb.
Thank you, Dick. It's nice to be here. My first question is, why should workers be concerned about what is going on in the state and federal legislature?
You know, everything we deal with, and when we did have the office open, everybody that came through the door, their problems were either addressed or not addressed by some state law or some federal law or rule or regulation, and it was real important. If we could go to a book and say, you know, you can't do that. Lie detector test is a good example. If somebody would come in and say the employer demanded I take a lie detector test, I wouldn't have to look very far. I could tell them that both the state law and federal law prohibits that. So the laws are really super important. I'll never forget when the Zenith plant closed. Terry Branstad, our governor, was in the state legislature at that time and revamped the whole unemployment program and really did some really bad changes. And I remember asking all the workers in town, all the union members, all the workers to send letters in and oppose that. And most of the workers said, you know, why should we? It doesn't affect us, or it only affects the people getting laid off at Zenith right now. But a couple years later, we got into the 1980 recession, and it started having layoffs all over town.
Right.
And these people had to go down and apply for unemployment. I remember them coming to the union hall and saying, "My goodness, how did this happen, Sturgeon? How did you let them make those changes?" And I would remind them I had asked for their help. But it's important that we have the laws to fall back on. Otherwise, we don't have much that we can do for workers.
Oh, exactly. What changes have you seen that have hurt the workers?
And I don't think we have time to
go into all of that?
talk to all of them. But I'll just give you some examples. We used to have a provision that if a company had a federal contract of any kind whatsoever, that they had to pay premium time for time after 8 in a day for Saturday or Sunday work. In the Reagan administration, they took that away. It does not exist anymore. Recently, the Bush administration revamped the whole overtime program and made more people not eligible for overtime protection, which has drastically hurt families. I know people who will plow snow all winter long and make up the extra money to hold them over during the summer, or will work construction in the summertime and will work all the overtime they can so that they be able to survive through the winter. Well, the new laws affected many of those very same people, those tradespeople. Locally here in Iowa, we have seen Steve King, who has, when he was in the state legislature, went on a crusade to make all workers take drug tests. And the rules on drug testing are really tight and really bad. We fought that, and we fought that. We have people that come in now that have been subject to a drug test and got a positive test back and swear that they don't take any drugs of any kind whatsoever, and there just wasn't an awful lot that could be done about it. We've seen where they have changed the workers' compensation law. One of the local attorneys here in town won a case before the Iowa Supreme Court that really benefited workers who have had 2 back injuries. The employers went to work right away to get that corrected before the Iowa legislature. So there's a whole bunch of things.
A lot.
During the Clinton administration, non-union workers won the right to be represented in a meeting with the company by one of their fellow workers. It never used to be, but in the Clinton administration, the National Labor Relations Board ruled that was a protected right. Well, as soon as Bush II took over, he appointed a new labor board, and they took that right away from us.
That one's gone.
And presently, they're reviewing all kinds of decisions that past labor boards have made, and they're reversing those. So the
Right.
different laws are really hurting us.
So that the courts and the agencies' decisions, they do affect the rights of the workers.
Oh, so many times. The Supreme Court has watered down our discrimination laws so bad now that it used to be if you had carpal tunnel and you couldn't grasp, or you couldn't couldn't do any work that
The
required
repetitious type work.
so the wrist or the hand or something, that
Right.
was a qualified disability.
Right.
Not anymore. Lifting, there used to be that if you were limited to 10 pounds and the employer could maybe bring a lift in or something for you, and they didn't, that was a violation. That's not so anymore. They really watered that down bad. And there's a lot of other examples too, that both the agencies and the court. Agencies make up their own rules, and when they make when we have a anti-worker legislature that has appointed people to agencies that make those rules, they can really hurt us. And the only way we can combat that is to stay active and stay alert.
Who appoints the boards and courts?
The governor appoints, in Iowa, appoints the boards. And we've been blessed that we had Governor Vilsack for 2 terms, and now we have Governor Culver. So we're lucky there that we don't have boards that are completely controlled by anti-workers people. We also we don't have boards that are controlled by big corporations and stuff. The governor's appointed workers to those panels, or worker-friendly people to those panels. But that can turn around on us as quick as anything. We're still suffering from the Branstad years, where he had completely controlled the boards for years, and they were not in our favor at all. The courts is even worse because the governor appoints the judges in the state of Iowa, and they have to stand for not re-election, but reaffirm. They have to be reaffirmed every 4 years. But federal-wise, they're appointed for life.
Oh,
and I know examples where terribly anti-union attorneys have been appointed to the courts. Well, you know darn well what our chances would be before them.
Oh, exactly.
We're lucky here in our district. We have a very fair federal judge, and we're blessed with that.
Budget reductions, how did they affect workers?
You know, that's been the main problem. When we've seen in Iowa where they reduced the budget when the taxes started to drop, and they started reducing the budgets, the first agencies that get clobbered were the ones that we relied upon to provide the protection for workers. The OSHA department, the wage collection department, workers' comp department. Unemployment is funded in a large part by the federal government. It was still felt there pretty bad, but not as bad as other agencies. The Iowa Civil Rights Commission, the Public Employees Relations Board, all those were really hit really hard, to where in the Iowa Bureau of Labor had I think half an attorney. In other words, they had an attorney for half time, and that just, that's impossible for a state this size with as many workers as we have. So when you hear the budgets being cut, it sounds good, but remember that the worker agencies get hit first, and the ones that benefit the employers are the last to be cut.
Right. Are there changes now before the state legislature in Des Moines that affect workers?
And I'm going to talk about one now, because I think our time is slipping away from us, and that is the fair share.
Fair share.
And we hear so much about that. I want to tell everybody that it's really being exaggerated. Number one,
Yes.
the fair share, all it provides that if you work in a plant where the workers have voted for a union, and the workers and the company agree that they'll put in the contract that all workers covered by that contract will pay their fair share, only then will it apply to you. And we have non-union places in this town threatening to leave because
Yes.
this is killing them. The fact is, if they're non-union, it won't affect them at all. The workers have to vote in a union, number one. Workers have to decide that they want everybody to at least pay their fair share, and the employer has to agree to it. The people that are making all the noise about it, they don't want to see a union on solid financial grounds. They want to see where workers can have the representation and the services of the union and don't have to pay for it. It's for the employer's best interest if they do.
Right.
The fair share law does not require a person to join a union against their will, as a lot of them are trying to convince people
Yes,
now.
they are.
The so-called right to work law is not being gutted.
Right.
It is simply providing that if a person works in the union place and has a union contract, that they pay their fair share for the services that they receive. I wrote in the Sioux City Journal about a lady who got her job back. It cost her cost us $5,000 of our union members' money.
Right.
She refused to pay any union dues. When we won her job back with $13,000 back pay, she still refused to pay anything to the union whatsoever. She said, "Why should I? They provide the same services and the same benefits as not." Fair share is only fair. It'd be like a taxpayer living in the city of Sioux City and saying thank you for the services, but I'm not going to pay any property taxes
anything,
or
right.
sales taxes. I'll let my neighbor pay that. The
Right.
problem is the neighbor would have to pay so much more. So
Right. There's quite a misconception about the fair share.
it's terrible, and it's being blown out of shape. And I know it's got an awful lot of people worried that work in non-union places and stuff. They're not going to have to pay anything to unions. That's silly.
Right. No.
The final one I think that we have to talk about, I think the thing that the employers are really rattling their saber on fair share is that there's other proposals in there, worker-friendly proposals, like the one that would give the workers the right to see their own doctors if they're hurt on the job. Workers, injured workers are the only people I know that can't see a doctor of their choice, are told by the employer and the insurance company what doctor they're to go to. And of course there's only one reason for that, and that is that doctor is going to do what the employer wants.
Exactly.
That doctor is not going to know any of the workers' medical history or anything.
That's
We've
true.
run out of time, and I want to thank Siouxland Community Media for producing this, and Morningside College for giving us the facilities, and Deb, again, thank you for being here.
Thank you for asking me.
Thank you for watching.